kind of feel like we should start with the manager this week. I mean, since Ivan Jurić started, we've lost 8 of our 9 Premier League games, and we've conceded 25 goals in the process. Glenn, it's not really a step forward, is it? It's not really progress, this, but unfortunately, I think we kind of all saw this coming.
Yeah, it's definitely not progress. And, you know, what I saw yesterday was a manager who doesn't really have a clue. I mean, he's promised that he will learn and he will abandon this man marking shambles that we've got at the back. But yeah, it's just a case of whether you're feeling charitable enough to give him the chance to, you know, to change it. He's come out with some utter rubbish. You know, I remember when he, this is something Alfie highlighted in a piece he wrote. So sorry, I'm stealing your thunder a little bit here. He said he knew the players before he joined. He doesn't know them now. He clearly doesn't know them now. The things he's asking them to do, they're just not capable of it. And it was just a joke from start to finish. I mean, you could tell it was going to be a joke even before Brighton scored, and it just. I just find it amazing that something can be so obviously wrong, but you just keep doing it for 90 minutes, and then it's just worse and worse as the game went on. Just pathetic, really. And then we throw on a player who hasn't played for 20 months, and you could. Brighton and Bournemouth last week, they've sussed exactly how to get past it slightly differently. Bournemouth did it by taking players on. Brighton did it just by speeding up the passing, playing quick 1-2s around the corner, all this sort of stuff. No one tracked the runners. It was just embarrassing from start to finish. And Jurić stood there and did nothing. I mean, there's always the argument that no manager could do it with the players that we've got, and I think that's a valid argument. That was what we were saying with Russell Martin right back at the start of the season. Who could do anything with this squad? There is that argument, but I'd like to turn that around and say I haven't seen anything from Ivan Jurić to suggest that even if he was given the perfect squad of players, he could do anything with it either. Yeah. There was no clue defensively, as I've said. There was no clue attacking. I mean, how many times did we bang the ball up to the twin giants of Sulemana and Cameron Archer? I mean, that was our method of attacking in that first half in particular. Yeah. It's just crap. It's crap football. No idea. He doesn't seem to. He picks midfield players. I don't know what he thinks the midfielders are supposed to be doing, because they don't provide any attacking impetus and they don't protect the defence either. You know, there seems to be a license to get forward, but you know, I mean, that was compromised slightly yesterday with Leslie Ugochukwu getting booked in the first minute, because then you had absolutely no one to sort of put a tackle in, because that's obviously not Mateus Fernandez's game. So yeah, so he picked an attacking lineup with no real thought of how we were going to protect the back three at all, which is makeshift anyway, partly through his own doing and partly through injuries. And yeah, to me, he's a caretaker, manager, supply teacher. He's like Ruben Selles without the nice clothes. Really, it's just shocking. It's just get to the end of the season and get him gone. I'd like to get him gone now, because what I saw yesterday, I don't see any point in him being there, to be honest. And you might as well put the proper caretaker manager, Simon Rusk, in charge for the rest of the season, and just admit, you know, we're down. So just admit that's what you're doing. We're getting to the end of the season, and we're going to make everything marvellous again in the summer, which, given Sports Republic's decision-making success record, I'm sure they will. So yeah, great day. Thanks, Ivan.
So yes. you would draw a line under it now and pull the trigger and make that change now?
I mean, there's an argument that there's no point, because obviously we're going down, and we might as well have the same hate figure from now to the end of the season. But I don't see that he's adding anything. I really don't. And the win against Ipswich was a little bit fortunate. 8 defeats out of 9, that'd get most managers sacked anyway. I know there's the caveat of the squad and all that, but just putting that aside for a second, is he getting the most out of his squad? Is he is he in any way making these players bigger than the sum of their parts, which is what a manager is supposed to do. He's supposed to create a team. You might not have the best players, but you find a way around that by, I don't know, working hard or being clever tactically. I just don't see anything really. No attack, no defence. Aaron Ramsdale kept the score down yesterday. I'm sure we'll get onto that. Could have been 10 without him quite comfortably. It's just abysmal, really. So personally, get rid of him now. Get rid of him in 3 games. Get rid of him at the end of the season. Doesn't really make any difference. So I think you might as well get rid of him now. But I doubt they will.
Alfie, I'll ask you about the quotes and the post-match stuff in just a moment. I want to get your thoughts, Steve. Are you kind of in agreement? I think I kind of agree with everything that Glen's said. The thing that's missing for me is the detachment from the club, and that might be repaired if someone like Simon Rusk was given the job. Because at the moment, I just feel like they don't care. He hasn't got a clue. Why are we bothering to go each week? And that's going to be a problem long term, isn't it? That detachment between the fans that we don't seem to have at the moment.
Potentially, yes. Although I would caveat that with, I think we all felt the same this time 2 years ago. But at that point, the feeling was slightly different in that we thought that this was a group of players that should be better. Whereas I think this time around, I think we accept that the players just simply aren't of the quality as a collective. We've got individuals who can do things on their day, but at the end of the day, there's a reason why most of them are playing for us and not for somebody better. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm leaning towards the same conclusion as Glen in that ultimately what has improved in the time since. I mean, it's not like Jurić coming in as repaired fan relations, is it?
No.
Everybody's still very, very angry, if not more so. And I mean, you've got this weird sort of balance of priorities among our fan base, whereby you've got Will Smallbone, who, for all his limitations, has grown up in the area, is a Saints fan, has come through the academy, is quite literally one of our own, and is getting abuse week in, week out. And Amo-Ameyaw comes on yesterday like somebody back from the dead. I mean, this guy couldn't wait to get out of here 18, 24 months ago. Literally could not get out of Staplewood quickly enough, and was more than eager to take sort of substitutions in the first half of games with injury theoretically. But I mean, frankly I didn't buy it then. I don't buy it now. And yet he gets a hero's welcome when he comes back, and it's absolutely ridiculous. The sort of warped priorities on these sort of things. So I mean, I do think we don't help ourselves with this sort of thing. We kind of allow these sort of behaviours to go on, because at the end of the day, if you're not gonna give a player stick for doing what he had done over a prolonged period of time, and you're just going to hurl abuse at the lad who actually is basically the same as you, just wants this football club to be successful, then why are we even here? It's ridiculous. But in terms of Jurić, as I say, what has he improved? Not a lot. We obviously yesterday we didn't, but for the most part, under him we've generally scored. But a lot of those goals have come when the game's already been lost. So it kind of feels a little bit redundant that we're sort of scoring a little bit more frequently, and ultimately it doesn't make any difference when you concede in 3 goals a game or more, as we are doing on average under him. And I mean, that's now not a small sample size. That's 9 games, and you're conceding basically 3 goals a game. There is
25 goals in 9 games.
Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. And I mean, what have we done at home? Like the last few games, 4 yesterday, 3 Bournemouth, 3 Newcastle, 5 Brentford, 5 Tottenham, 5 Chelsea. It's ridiculous. And I mean, I'm amazed that, I mean, yes, I think yesterday was possibly the first game that wasn't an official sellout. this season, which I mean kind of shows the relative insanity of our fan base, really, that up until now they've kept coming back for more. But I kind of wonder whether especially the way that the team's being set up, I wonder whether that is possibly a kind of tipping point for people, whereby they'll just say, well, I'm just going to save my money for next season when then obviously there'll be a different manager in charge and we might start winning a few games and it'll get interesting again.
I can't imagine Wolves is going to be a sellout next.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. And I mean, ultimately, that's basically a game where if we lose that, then I mean, I guess there's the sort of collateral of effectively dragging Leicester and Ipswich with us, because I mean they've got a 5-point gap now already. That will probably then make 8, and I mean you can't. I mean I struggle to see either Leicester or Ipswich getting 8 more points for the rest of the season. So yeah, that would basically seal the bottom 3 already. And what will that be? Middle of March.
I mean, Steve, all 3 are dreadful. Ipswich, us, and Leicester, they're all terrible teams. I mean, Ipswich have got a bit of fighting character, but they've not beaten Southampton in 2 attempts. I mean, how bad can you be? All 3
well, in a mini league between the 3 of us, Ipswich are bottom.
There you go.
Sounds like a chant. I mean, those quotes yesterday, Alfie, must be a headline writer's dream. We're not good enough to defend the way that I'm used to defending. I think the squad was trying to play football with lots of possession, and that didn't go well. I changed everything to try and do other types of football, and that didn't go well either. Now I have to find a way to compete better. Now, bizarre kind of. It's this honesty that we've spoken about again, but it's just doesn't leave him much room for manoeuvre.
Yeah, well, I think he's spot on with what he said in the sense that, the players can't do what he's asking them to do. But I think the problem is that, we all could have told him that a couple of weeks ago. And I don't mean that in a, an offensive or derivative way, but we could have told him that. We could have told him that a back 3 of Jurić, who, to be fair, has been the only good defender, Bella Kotchap and James Bree couldn't play a man-to-man marking system against Brighton, who've got athletic and quality, technically quality players. So the fact that it's taken him this long to work it out is the biggest, mark against him. And it's like we're going from just every manager at the moment just seems to be obsessed, and I'm bored of talking about it, but every manager has one style of play and they stick to it. And Ruben Amorim at Man United is dreadful. Russell Mine just didn't work. There's other ones as well off the top of my head, but it feels like we've now got Ivan as well. And to be fair, like you said, Ivan said he's going to have to find different ways to compete now. And in those early few games against Man United and, to some extent West Ham, and obviously they beat Ipswich, there's a couple of games there where I can sort of see why he felt that they might be able to do it. But he's had so many injuries at the back. I just can't believe that, Russell Martin was the same. I can't believe that they didn't look at the amount of injuries they've had and go, actually, we probably can't do what we tried to do, and we'll just change it up a little bit. We'll just, defend zonally and just try and give one person responsibility for an area and just simplify the game for these players who are already clearly not good enough for the Premier League, or if they are, then they're not, they're not amazing for the Premier League. They're not without struggles. So make their game easier, make it simple for them. Don't confuse them. And I look at the where the players end up, and I just think, well, you must be confused, because there's no way that if James Bree finds himself in left midfield that he's comfortable there. I refuse to believe that he can feel comfortable there, because he's never played there in his life. So there's too many players getting dragged all over the pitch. But, Ivan said he's going to change, and I am intrigued to see what he comes up with on Tuesday. I think it will look more like those
good time for him to announce that he's going to change when we have no training time ahead of the next game.
Yeah, well, I mean, what he's going to change to, I think, is going to be more like what it was against West Ham and against Crystal Palace, and obviously with Simon Russ against Fulham as well. And honestly, that might just be what they need. But obviously, everyone, I see the comments now, people putting in the sort of heavy metal football stuff. That's what we were promised when we arrived. It's not been heavy metal football. I mean,
we're occasionally dinging the symbol. I think
if that's
about
I mean,
that's heavy little triangle.
Yeah, the one I see all the time is scrap metal football, isn't it? I think you might have said it at one point on the podcast as well, Glen. And that's what we're getting at the moment. So, yeah,
scrap
I think
metal has value, though.
Well, true. I mean, I echo the thoughts of Glen and Steve in the sense that it seems impossible that Ivan will be here next season. Now it just seems so difficult, but I don't think there's any point of changing right now, because, like they said, they're doomed. Whoever comes in is going to lose as many games. But I'm intrigued to see what Ivan does and hope that he has a bit more success than he's had.
I just wonder, with the 10 days after the Chelsea game, whether that might be time to, if it's a heavy defeat. Can you see, Glenn, if we get absolutely battered at Chelsea, then they might have to do something and just go, look, thanks, we made another mistake?
I don't think they will, to be honest. I think, I mean, something that's just occurred to me when Alfie was talking there is of course he's decided to change his defensive system when we're about to play Chelsea away and then Liverpool away. So yeah, I mean, we could have, especially at Anfield, we could have got beat by 15 playing like we did yesterday. So I'd be surprised if they admit they've made yet another mistake. I'd be surprised if they pulled the trigger. I mean, yeah, it could be another. I mean, when they decided to pull the trigger on Russell Martin after 5 first-half goals against Tottenham, didn't they? So I guess there's a chance, but with Dragan Solak going on TalkSport, what was it, 3 weeks ago, perhaps, saying he's our manager for next season, it wouldn't be a good look. But it's the thing. I don't care. I don't care anymore.
I'm the same though, and this is my problem. I don't care either.
Yeah,
and this is mad.
I don't care about even Jurić. He's made no impression on me. I kind of cared a little bit about Russell Martin because he was successful in getting us promoted, and the courage of his convictions and all that. And yes, he was stubborn and all that, but there was a little bit. I was rooting for him slightly, to do well, even when it was bad at the start of this season. But this guy, nothing, no connection at all. Couldn't care less whether he stays or goes, really. And that's why I think he'll stay, because there's just no real value in getting rid of him. But I don't see the point in what he's doing. I really don't. I mean, the only good thing about him, about if he got let go now, would be that you would be 100% sure that he wasn't going to be the manager next season, because that's a nightmare scenario for me.
Yeah,
if we get to the end of the season, I mean, we knew Ruben Sellers wasn't going to be the manager because he only had 3-month contract or whatever it was. But we're led to believe that Jurić has got 18 months. We've had the quotes from Dragan Solak as well. How much value you put on those, I don't know. But no, it would just be a horrific prospect. Good luck selling season tickets if you've got this guy in charge next season.
It just reminded me a bit of, at the end of Fighting Talk when they do the defend the indefensible, and the comment would be that Jurić should be trusted to rebuild the squad and take us forward next season. Can anyone convince me we're going to get more points than Derby did? That's the next thing.
Well, you've got to play Leicester.
We've got to play Leicester away.
Yeah, I mean.
So is that where we get the 3? Is that what we're targeting? Everything's on that.
Can't be.
I mean, you're leaving it pretty damn late, aren't you? Because that's into May, that game.
Yeah, I mean, then the 3 games after that are Man City, Everton away, and Arsenal, aren't they? So I mean, that is the last chance.
That's the last chance to get 3 points.
No. Everton actually, of course.
No chance.
Go out there and completely ruin their party like we did at Main Road for Man City.
No chance.
We'll get annihilated up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think their crowd would just shrink even more than we already have.
It's interesting, Glenn, that you say like you don't feel any connection to Ivan Jurić at all, and I completely understand that, just because he hasn't gotten himself over with the fans really at all by doing anything that the likes of Russell Martin do, this sort of modern style of speaking to people, I guess. I mean, what I would say is I quite like him as a bloke. I mean, obviously I get a few interactions with him a week, and he is always sort of polite, respectful, and he doesn't mind you asking sort of difficult questions, which after 2 years with Russell Martin, it was a bit refreshing, because you'd ask a question to Russell Martin and you knew you're going to get your head bitten off, whereas with Ivan, he'll just explain exactly what he thinks. He'll tell you if you think you're a knobhead or not, but he'll tell you the answer to your question, and that's quite refreshing from us. But yeah, it's a shame that he hasn't sort of gotten himself over with the fans at all. I don't know what more he could have done. Well, a lot more probably, but I don't know what specifically he could have done other than just getting results. But yeah, I was rooting for him and I wanted him to do well. So I am a little bit disappointed with just
I'll tell
how
you what,
bad it's gone.
I'll tell you what you could have done. You remember the game against West Ham, his first home game, where we actually played quite well. We had a kind of style of play. It's before he started all the man marking rubbish. And we actually played half decent football in that game, created a load of chances, lost 1-0 because we had a defensive howler. Surprise, surprise. But if he'd have kept like that and not messed around with it, not done this man-to-man marking thing, I think
we'd be past Derby already.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think we'd have been okay. But this, we found a new way to be crap in defence. I mean, we were giving goals away with silly short passes, Russell Martin suicide ball at the start of the season, and we've replaced that with this, which is another suicide ball.
And the reason why
and worse.
Yeah. The reason I'm not even angry at this point. I'm like, when your parents say I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. The reason I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed, is because he said in his first press conference that he knew that he couldn't do too much too quickly. He couldn't make too many changes, otherwise he'd confuse the players. He told himself that. He told us that in his first press conference, and I just feel like he hasn't taken that advice on board at all. He's done way too much. I think I said on Twitter earlier, he's trying to make players who need their hands held when they walk. He's trying to make them run. And it's just never going to work. And Russell Martin did the same thing. These players who couldn't play out the back, he tried to make them do it, tried to make them believe they could. And it's, I don't know if it would have made a difference at all, really. But I wonder how many more points we'd have if we just had a 4-2-3-1 and they played simple counter-attacking Brentford-style football all season. How many points would they have?
Well, we might see that on Tuesday night. You never know if he's promising some changes.